I have always been concerned about things that we can do in this community to help address and pull us together. I have also been very concerned about, initiatives and entities and organizations that are influential and can play a major role in the improvement of our community. Oftentimes we, complain about government and politicians and schools and what have you, but it's not limited to them. I think we all have an obligation and a role that we can play in community improvement. And I'm so happy today to be featuring two individuals who head up two organizations that's doing that. They are delving in the community, they are sponsoring activities, they're involved in the community, and they fully understand. I'm talking about two churches, incidentally. They fully understand that, the impact and the influence of these religious institutions go beyond the walls. So I have with me two of my friends and two ministers who in their own way have been very, very involved in the community in the persons of Pastor Kevin Mills and Pastor Johnnie Cook. I'm glad your name was on the screen, Dr. Cook, because I was going to call you Theodore, but that wouldn't work. Okay,
okay,
how y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We're doing great. I'm doing great.
How about you, Pastor Mills?
Oh, yeah, doing well. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be here and be a part of your program.
Yes, sir. It's an honor to have both of you. So we're going to start with, let's see, since C comes before M, we're going to start with Pastor Cook. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the Macon area about 7 years. I've been pastoring Greater Allen Chapel A.M.E. Church over at 269 Pursley Street in the historic Pleasant Hills community. And we have been there working in this community for the last 166 years, faithfully feeding the hungry and clothing the naked, and giving water to the thirsty and doing all those things. And we continue to do that today.
Pastor Mills?
Yeah, so I've been the pastor of Northway Church, which is on Zebulon Road next to Walmart. We were joking before the program that we've often thought about changing the name of our church to the Church at Walmart. So everybody I meet says, "Oh, you're the church next to Walmart." I've been there for a little over 14 years as pastor. However, I grew up in Macon, a graduate of Central High School, then went to Mercer University and graduated from Mercer in 1994. I was gone for a number of years, but I've returned and have a deep, deep love for this community. This is home. The community is where I plan to be buried. And I'm excited about getting the chance to lead a church that's frankly excited about making a difference where we live in the Middle Georgia area. So thank you. And I'm excited about being able to talk about these things with you today on this program.
Okay, I was greatly moved a few days ago by two activities individually that both of your churches sponsored. One was an activity in Pleasant Hill at Greater Allen Chapel, wherein they had, they had people, Pastor Mills, they had people just lined up for blocks, and they were giving away turkeys and hams and vaccinations and clothes and things. And I said, wow, I was just so honored. And they had several so-called celebrities, and I don't know why they called me there, but anyway, I was asked to be there to just come in and show, involvement and participation and show our belief in what they were doing. And, that was a phenomenal activity, and I was just greatly moved. And that was part of what inspired me to have this combined interview with the two of you with two different churches, both Greater Allen Chapel and the church at Walmart. So I'm just happy to have you. So, Pastor Mills, talk a little bit about, your church's involvement in some of the activities and initiatives that you have in the community, and really delve into, and I was very interested when I looked it up on the internet, about you're trying to intertwine schools and parenting in the church's outreach.
Yeah, so our church, it really goes back when the church was planted in 1998. There was a pastor of Vineville Baptist Church, which is located fairly close to Pastor Cook's church, that wanted to plant a church in our area where there really at the time was very little. Sonny Carter had just been built, but not much else was there, and it was to be a church that was really outwardly focused. Their mission at first was to reach young families, to really make sure that they had an emphasis on preschoolers and children and students. And they did a good job with that. Since I came in 2007, we've continued that, but we've built onto that and to think about what are ways that we can really be an agent for change in the community. And so we've got a partnership with a number of schools. We've partnered with the Brookdale Warming Center. So we send volunteers, we send supplies. We've partnered with the Rescue Mission, with a number of organizations in town. One of the ones that I'm personally involved with and most passionate about is our involvement with DFACS. My wife and I became foster parents 5 or 6 years ago. We did that for a number of years. We almost all foster parents end up adopting, and then they cease becoming foster parents because you can't bring any more in, you're just full up. And we did that. We adopted, but we've had a number of families in our church that have done that as well. And as well, we've connected with DFACS. Angela Brown, who works there, is a good friend of mine. And before COVID hit, we hosted monthly meetings at our location. We hosted their annual foster parent appreciation banquet. We hosted their Christmas party. We've had people from the state come in for meetings. Regionally, we've hosted meetings. And I will tell you this, you mentioned churches making a difference. I personally believe the church is the hope of the world. I follow a man named Jesus Christ who said that before he left and commissioned the church to go and to make a difference. And statistically, there are in most communities, including ours, there are the same number of kids in foster care as there are the churches. So in our community, there are approximately 200 churches and approximately 200 kids in foster care. That number may have changed a little bit. Statewide, the number is about the same. Nationally, it's about the same. I was never a math genius, but I can figure that one out. If every church would foster one kid, we would solve our foster care problems. And so I just believe that we as a church, and when I say as a church, I mean outside of our church, churches all over Macon, that we can make a difference.
Yes, sir. And you stealing my thunder, Pastor Mills, because that's the premise behind which I'm having this interview. So talk a little bit specifically, Pastor Cook, about your church.
Yes.
And I saw all those ministries on your website, its outreach, its history, and talk specifically about the very successful event that you had at your church a few Saturdays ago.
Well, this was something that it came to us almost out of the blue. I guess it had to be divine intervention or inspiration, because a young lady came to me. She said, "Pastor, my family and I would like to give out 100 turkeys." I said, "That sounds great." She said, "Well, can we do it at the church?" Now, I don't know why she would have thought she couldn't have done it at the church, but of course I said yes. And I figured that we would also, as a church, give away some hams to go along. We've been serving this community for a long time, and the greater community outside of Pleasant Hills, especially when it comes to providing food and other clothing items and all kinds of things. And we had a big celebration where we gave out hams and turkeys right before Thanksgiving. We gave out food to people who are in that economic doldrum, and they need these things, and we provided them for quite some time. But I concur with what Pastor Mills has said about education. My wife is an educator. She works for the Clayton County School District, Dr. Sheila Cook. And when she went to get her doctorate degree, she did it in special education and autism. So we raised an autistic child. And a lot of people do not understand what goes into doing that, especially after the child leaves the school system. Life doesn't end after that. One of the things we also believe in is early childhood education. So right now I operate a daycare center over in the Tyndall Heights area, over off of Telfair Street Lane. And we service children from 12 weeks all the way to 12 years. I think we're going down to 6 weeks to 12 years. So we can start them even earlier. But we believe that if we can just teach our children to love to learn, just love learning, then half the battle is already won. So that's what we're doing here in Macon, Georgia, Pleasant Hills, and in the Tyndall Heights area.
Pastor Mills, talk a little bit about your involvement. It's, it's such a phenomenal and a wonderful thing. And I hope that, it helps to dispel some of the negativity as it relates to some of the thoughts about our community. And my office is downtown, and you're involved in that beautiful display of Christmas lights downtown. Talk a little bit about how and why you became involved in that.
Yeah, well, I want to be sure to give credit to Brian Nichols. That's his brainchild. That's what he put. He puts all the effort into that. When he started, though, he approached our church and said, "I just need some help. I need some help with personnel, making sure that we as a city are doing a good job greeting people who come and they don't know where to go to the restroom, where to park, what restaurants are available." And so we had volunteers from our church serve as ambassadors there the first year every night. Then we determined that it was really the heavier nights, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And so we still do that now. However, we financially support it as well. We're the presenting sponsor this year. And it's just what you said. We feel like there is a lot of negativity, and a lot of times it's unfounded. Sometimes maybe it is, but Macon has so much to offer. We're right in the middle of our state. There is so much heritage in our city, musical heritage and cultural heritage. And the light show that we're able to do downtown, and I don't know if you know this, we are featured in Forbes magazine as one of the top 10 places to visit during Christmas because of our light show.
Wow.
And I think that just this is a gift to our city, but to visitors to our city as well, is important. And again, you heard me that night, Mr. Habersham. We believe it's about celebrating the birth of God coming into our world as to make reconciliation between God and man possible. And so to celebrate Christmas for us is it's just a natural thing to do.
Yes, sir, it really is. And let me tell you something else, and I hope that it works, and I'm not alleging that Northway and Allen Chapel are the only two religious entities which are involved in our community. But man, you are absolutely correct You know, they call Macon, Georgia, the church capital of the world. Matter of fact, a lot of times when people come, they say, wow, you know, when I'm driving them around town, they say, you know, there's a church on that corner, there's a church on that corner. So there's a church on every corner in Macon, Georgia.
That's
And
right.
there are quite a few churches, but the interesting thing, and I hope, and I want both of you to address this, I hope, you know, though there are many that are doing things, but I hope that even Allen Chapel and Northway, although you're doing great, but I hope that something hits the community wherein, you know, Allen Chapel and Northway are saying, what else can we do? But just as important, or maybe more importantly, you know, motivate some of the other individuals and entities and organizations and nonprofits and what have you. Just get involved. Can you imagine, man, we could solve all the problems in Macon, Georgia, if we could get, you know, everybody as interested, organizations and individuals, because you might be Northway Church, but the people who go down to the light center are individuals. So it takes both institutions and individuals. And I just wanted to do this show to kind of motivate entities and individuals to become more involved in the community. Both of you kind of addressed that.
Well, I guess I'll go first. I totally concur that we need to get people more interested in doing what we in the clergy would say, doing the will of God. It's simply what God commands us to do. Our church has been serving this community for a long time, and they do it because they understand the assignment, as the young people would say. They do it because God has commanded us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And if we do that, then we are doing exactly what God would want us to do. And it does not matter in what neighborhood you perform this task, because everyone is your neighbor. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it does not matter. Some of the things that we have to consider is that we have to look beyond the physical and look to people's spirit. Look and see the spirit that says, I need, and look past the outward appearance and look into the heart. That's what I would say.
Yeah, let me concur. Good word there, Pastor Cook. So Mr. Habersham, you heard me say this at the night of the Christmas lights, that we are for the gospel and we are for the city. And Northway Church, we can be doing more. And all the time we're asking, what else can we do? And you're exactly right. And there are a lot of churches doing a lot of good things, but I think we all need to say, is there more that we can do? And so we want to meet the physical needs of those around us, but more importantly than that are the spiritual needs. I've had many conversations with people who are well off financially, but they're struggling. They lack hope. They're struggling in their marriage. They're struggling emotionally. So if we just give a cup of cold water, but we don't do it in Jesus' name, we have done them a disservice. And to love our neighbor well is to say, here's some food, here are clothes, but this is only going to be temporary. If you want eternal life, if you want to have hope, then here's the gospel. Here's Jesus. And I think that sometimes churches make the mistake of going to one extreme or the other. One extreme is we're going to do social ministry, but we're not going to ever mention Jesus. And the other extreme is we're going to scream Jesus, Jesus all the time, but we're not going to help anybody. And Jesus was the perfect model of both. A cup of cold water, but in Jesus' name. And that's what we're striving for. We're not perfect. We make plenty of mistakes, but we're striving to that end.
Okay, so now what's on the horizon, and both of you kind of address what's on the horizon for both institutions. And also, let's talk about, both of you, please, how collaboration and partnerships can help. I mean, now, I know you all may or may not know that the mayor just commissioned the community foundation with a truckload of money, to try to address for nonprofits and entities to make proposals wherein they can get funded programs and activities to address the problem with crime that we have in the community. And I think that may be a good approach, because what we have to do, gentlemen, and hopefully you agree, we have to do it where the rubber meets the road. And we have to do it conceptually, and we have to do it with intelligence, and we have to do it with resources, and we have to do it with the right heart and the right spirit. And then I would hope that that this conversation tends to activate and motivate and permeate throughout the community, the other entities. And again, I can't say enough how much I appreciate what you all are doing, but I wanted to spread like wildfire, throughout. Man, we could solve the problems most of them in this community in 90 days, really. If we could get 60 or 70 churches and 10 or 15 organizations and thousands of volunteers to become conscientious about, you have to ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do? What role can I play? And then all roles are important. You don't have to be in charge of anything. You could volunteer at the light show like Northway is doing. So talk about, if you would, both of you, just encouraging words to the community, and how, more collaboration and more organization and more working together and more initiatives and more volunteering. And while doing that, also indicate any need, that both of you may have in trying to expand and foster and promote and generate, more activities as it relates to what you're trying to accomplish in the community.
Yeah, well, I'll go first this time. I think that it's a both and of organizations, churches, collectively taking initiative. And as well, you mentioned this, and Pastor Cook mentioned that the way they started their last mission effort was an individual who came and said, I want to give away 100 turkeys. So the more individuals who say, I want to make a difference. Life is short. I don't want to get to the end of my days and say, I didn't make a difference. The more individuals who step up and say, hey, I can make an impact. I'll give you an example. We had a couple of nurses in our church who I think I preached a message along these lines, and they said, we're going to start a prayer group in the surgery room at 5:30 before surgeries begin, at the hospital. Just for 30 minutes, anybody who wants to come pray for all the patients that are having surgery that day, we can do that. Well, that what a blessing to do that. Yeah. And that doesn't take an organization or a church or legislation or it's just individuals who say, hey, I'm a follower of Christ and I want to make a difference. I want to be a light where God has put me. Maybe that's in a school, maybe it's in the medical field, or maybe it's in broadcasting, wherever. I'm going to be a light.
Well, look, yeah, I think that's wonderful. And I'm so glad that the pastor and his church are doing the things that they're doing, because I've been a chaplain in the operating room. I've been a chaplain in the emergency room and have seen people flown in by helicopter, and they need those prayers. I'm telling you, I've experienced when someone had to go into cardiac arrest and they had to have the team come in and restart the heart. But all the doctors looked at me in the corner and said, Chaplain, will you pray? They weren't relying only on their skill. They were relying on the power of God. And I think that's kind of what permeates everything we've talked about today. Wherever you find yourself, whatever level, whatever community, wherever God has you, you should make a difference where you are. Now, I know in the community that I serve, we still have to have forums, venues, where we can actually integrate and intermix, where you can inspire someone to want to do better. But that requires resources. We have a 501c3 here at the church. It's Greater Allen Chapel Community Enrichment Program, which we fund our food bank, clothing closet, and we run our daycare center. But that is a vehicle or an avenue for us to be able to use some resources to help the community. Because believe you me, you can't do anything or climb out of a situation without some type of help. No one got where they are without help. They you know, that's just the way it is. So a helping hand is what we want to do. We just want to have a bigger hand so we can help more people.
Okay, now, if in fact, both of you just kind of say how a person can contact you or send you an email or call the church or what have you, if in fact they are interested particularly in what you all are doing. Additionally, maybe there are some other entities or pastors or what have you would just like to have a conversation about what you all are doing and whether there's any room for collaboration, or maybe you can make some suggestions on whether there might be some shortcomings. So give your contact information. You first, Pastor Cook.
Yes, you can reach me, and I don't mind giving out my number, 404-401-6407. And if I don't talk to you right then, I'll get back to you. Also, my email address is jc, the number 2, underscore my life, MYLIFE, at yahoo.com. You can reach me anytime there.
I like that JC. I hear that play on words there. I like that. Pastor Mills.
Yeah, so if you'll go to our website, northwaychurch.net, my contact information's on there, phone number's on there, my email address. So you send me an email, call me. Sometimes it's not me. I need to point you in the direction of somebody who is over a particular ministry or mission. But I'm always willing to do that. So yeah, anybody who wants to reach out.
Okay, Pastor Cook, is there a mechanism where a person could maybe support what you are doing out there with an email or a website or what have you through your nonprofit?
There is. They can go to my Facebook page. I have a Facebook page for Greater Allen Chapel Community Enrichment Program. You can go on there and support what we are doing in the community. There is a button there if you want to make donations, and just read through what we've done since 2017 up until now.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, let me say this. I am so glad. I'm so happy to be able to engage in this interview for more than one reason. It shows the spirit of cooperation, and it shows that we can work together in spite of ethnic differences, because you both attested to the fact that, everybody has problems and that we need to foster and promote and engender a better spirit in the community. And I am very, very prayerful. Talk about praying. I'm very prayerful that this interview helps to stimulate, generate, and motivate the entire community. You know, it takes a village. And there's another expression that says, if it is to be, it's up to me. And I think that if we were to adopt, you know, those concepts, then we could make a measurable difference in this community in a very short while. I'm gonna give both of you an opportunity to make a pardon statement, not that you're being sinners. And I appreciate it. Go ahead, you first, Dr. Cook.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Habsham, for having me on. It was a great honor to have you at our venue the other week. I think that if we can continue to do that, it will spread because others will see that we can make a difference if we would just come together with the people. We cannot hide in our churches. We have to get out where the people are if we're going to make a difference. He said, go ye therefore and make disciples, not sit in the church and wait for them and make disciples. So we have to intermix with the people.
Pastor Mills.
And I'll say the same. It's an honor to be on your program, and thank you for what you're doing to bring awareness to the community on a number of issues, and on this one especially. And I would love to continue this conversation over lunch with both of you at some point. So let's make that happen.
Yeah, we will do that. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habasham, having interviewed Pastor Johnnie L. Cook, pastor of Greater Allen Chapel A.M.E. Church. I said it wrong once, and they corrected me. It's A.M.E. Church. And Pastor Kevin Mills, pastor of Northway Church, AKA the church at Walmart.
There we go.
This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habasham. Keep in mind that the purpose of this interview is to stimulate, generate, and motivate, all in an effort to make this a better community, and all in an effort to let us know that we all have a role to play, which will generate measurable benefits in our community. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habasham. Thank both of you for being on this show. Have a great day.
www.makingblackpages.com